Hi, I'm Jessica Joseph, founder of Season25, and today we're at the Digital Voices Beach Takeover.
What is the most rewarding aspect of your role?
So the most rewarding aspect of the role, I would definitely say, is the fact that we've had such longevity with a lot of the clients that we work with. So since initiation of the business, which is 4 years yesterday, which is exciting, we've built some really, really strong talent relationships. And I think being able to have worked with someone for such a long time and knowing what their vision has been over a long period of time and been able to help them idea and strategize and execute a project from start to completion over a long period of time is the most rewarding thing to kind of see it come to life.
How do you balance the creative and business aspects of your role at Season25?
That's a good question, and I think it can be quite challenging, switching the hats, and not just between kind of creative and business, but creative, business, support to talent, support to other clients, support to the staff. I find, in any one day you might have 12 different hats on, and I think sometimes where there are busier periods within the business, naturally business decisions come before the creativity, and I think the most important thing to know that you've got to make a plan towards is finding the right people within the team to help always put that creativity first, even when business is asking a lot of you. So we're hiring at the minute. Shout out if anybody's looking for a new role, for junior roles and for kind of mid-level managers, but it's about bringing together different brains so that if you don't have the capacity right now to be creative, that other people can step in and kind of help the team.
Who would you say has been the biggest inspiration throughout your career journey?
So I kind of had a long think about this one, because there are people who've inspired me just in my personal life because of their work ethic and their general kind of love and passion for what they do, and then there's people that inspire me in a business perspective because I just love what they've achieved in their own kind of business journey, and specifically female entrepreneurs. One person I'll shout out is Sharmadean Reid. So she is founder of the Stack World. It's a women's network that's now grown into a tech business. So it's the Stack World. I've been to a number of events. I was a founder member, and her kind of career path from being at one point managing this, being a parent of a really young child, to getting an MBE and having a nail shop, to now having this amazingly successful tech business. I think she's wonderful.
So we'd love it if you could tell us about some of the amazing talent that you represent, and how did you know that they were perfect for your roster?
I'll be here all day if I speak about them all to full extent, so I'm going to do a little kind of hot pick on a few people. The question about finding who's right for the roster, I think it's finding that balance between knowing what is a good business decision, because obviously businesses are built to grow, or not all of them, but you want to grow the business and you need a kind of focus on revenue. But I actually fell into starting the business for a specific reason, and it was built off the back of the passion that I had for the industry, and actually what I'd seen was potentially kind of going wrong. So being that the values of the business has always been about doing right for a certain community, it's always been about actually finding who I feel has talent, who works really hard, and who's doing something new and different. We've had a few creators with us in Cannes, which has been amazing. Someone I'll give a shout out to is Pele Newell, and if you haven't heard of him, go and check him out. He is a motion graphics designer, and everything he does is completely from scratch. He is super, super talented. We've never seen any kind of work like his before, and I think it's that kind of individuality and also the real drive to actually achieve really big projects. And I think in terms of other talent that we represent, just to kind of roll off so that you guys can check them out, the Cabs family of YouTubers, we've worked with them, or I've worked with them for the past 6 years, kind of previous to Season25, and they just continue to achieve amazing things. Dr. Adana Steinacker, who was a surgeon, then mother of 3, and now is a real kind of advocate for women's empowerment. Madam Joyce, host of Cocktails and Takeaways. We helped produce her first ever live show at the O2 Indigo last year. So people who are really pushing the boundaries, I would say, outside of influencer marketing, and starting to do some really exciting off-platform projects as well.
Which brands do you think are doing a great job at providing equal opportunities for black talent?
I would say that I'd be really honest with you in terms of what we've seen from the initiation of season 25, which was June 2020, to now. So we're in June 2024, so exactly 4 years. The past 2 years have been a lot quieter. I think it's been a reminder of where we were pre-2020 and why the business exists. There are some people who I can pull out specifically as contacts, brand partners, account execs even, that we can have really honest conversations with, who will then be open to kind of changing and developing their partnerships to ensure that diversity is brought back into all of the work that they do. And people who do that really well, so people who we work with a lot, Lego, we've got a really great partnership with them. The Cabs family have been ambassadors for like the past kind of 3-4 years. P&G, again, we've worked with on a long-term basis for Adana and for the Cabs family. And also, more recently, we've had a couple of conversations with partners who we're yet to work with, brand partners who know that they are not yet doing enough to equally represent the Black community, and who have come to us and said, actually, how can we work with talent on the roster in a more consultant style to see where are we going wrong, and dial that all the way back down to actually the products that they've got on offer. So if our products don't service the Black community, doing a partnership seems inauthentic. So how can we take your feedback, build that into like the products that we even offer? So I think taking it back to that perspective, where we're starting to shift not just in influencer marketing, but actually talent are now able to have an impact from the very early stages, and we're building relationships in that with a few brands. So that's promising to see, but I would say there's still work to be done within other kind of brands and agencies in influencer marketing.
That's amazing, though, that they have the vulnerability to ask the question and be open about it. And
for the first time ever, we had somebody come into a meeting with myself and a client and say, I will be really honest, my team is 3 white women, all heterosexual, all of the same age, and naturally we all follow the same kind of people on TikTok. Like our talent pool isn't wide enough, and it's not a good thing, and I'm ashamed to admit it, but my reason for coming to this meeting is to say, like, we want to change that, and I think that kind of honesty and that action after that conversation is the important thing, because it's all fine and well to say it, but if there's no action points after that, then there was no point in having that initial conversation. So we've now started to make moves, and that is the brand that we're now working with on that consultancy basis.
What changes would you like to see in the influence marketing space to better represent and support Black creators?
I would say, really good question to feed on from the discussion that we've just had. I think that it takes a lot of courage for a brand to say that, or an agency to say on behalf of a brand, we're not properly representing a certain community, be that the Black community, be that the LGBTQ community, specifically with older influencers as well. There seems to be this thing right now that we must only work with Gen Z creators, and I do understand to a certain extent that brands need to see success in reach and the audiences they're hitting, but I think that in regards of really truly representing all the marginalised communities, there's a lot of work to be done, and I think that starts from the brand being able to accept that they've not been doing that well enough, and actually going into those, whether it is the Black community, whether it is the LGBT community, and speaking directly to those talent, and understanding what changes they need to make in order to better service that community. So yeah, I think it starts with small research groups, not even research groups. It might be that you're taking certain creators out for a coffee, paying them for their time and saying, these were the campaigns that we did last year. This is our product kind of offering right now. These are the things that we think we want to launch in the next couple of years. Like, can we get your feedback? How could we make you more excited to work with us as a brand, and what are we doing wrong? So I think that's where it needs to start in order to better represent Black creators.
I'd love to know what advice you would give to someone aspiring to join the talent management industry.
I've got a lot of advice, and I think starting off with the basics of saying that it's a really varied job and it is really fun, but you have to have a passion for the people that you're working with. It is all-consuming. It can be all-consuming, let's say, and you've got a lot of things to juggle. I've unfortunately seen quite a lot on X and Threads recently with other talent, smaller talent, even mid and macro talent, saying that they've had bad experiences with management. And I think that's because some management teams have gotten into it for the wrong reasons. They see it as an easy win, they see it as easy commission, they see it as a sales job. But what you have to have if you're looking to be a great talent manager is passion and care for the people that you're representing. And I think if there's a lack of that, it will kind of end in disaster. So you want to approach someone that you really believe in. You want to build their business with them. You see them as somebody who's got a really exciting future and career ahead of them. And I think focusing on somebody that you feel passionate about, or an area of the industry, a vertical that you feel really excited about, is what will ensure that you're doing a great job for that person. And then other bits of advice, I would say, be open to getting things wrong in the beginning, and be open to relationships potentially not working out, and you're not going to get on with every single talent that you come across, and it's all just about kind of being personable. So making sure that you're building connections with talent that you get on with, because at the end of the day, you're speaking to these people every single day. You're WhatsApping, you're calling, you're traveling together, and you have to make sure you've got that really kind of tight-knit connection.
And then one final question: where do you see your career heading in 5 years' time?
This is always the hard one, and always the last one as well. I would say, right now we're in a really exciting period of growth for the business. So we're hiring for multiple roles, and I would love to say that in 5 years we might be hiring globally and building a team out in the US. I think that we're at a really great position in the UK now. We've got I'm biased, great talent across the roster, and I see that there is a gap in the market for a boutique talent management company doing the same thing across other territories as well. I personally would love to still be in the business and making sure that we're making decisions that also build verticals of Season25 as well. Right now I'm still in the day-to-day talent management of specific creators on the roster because I love it, and that's what I'm good at. So 5 years time, maybe I'm still working with a few kind of talent, having a hand in that, but also we're growing the business out in new territories as well.